What if I told you that the Division 2 didn't just evolve over time, it fundamentally changed how the game is played, and the Division 3 may be headed for the same fate? When the game launched, it was built as a true open world experience, just like the original Division game. You explored Washington DC, you physically travelled to missions, and the world itself was part of the gameplay loop. But fast forward to today, and the Division 2 feels different. New content, including lots of the latest Brooklyn DLC, is no longer woven into the map. Instead, it's delivered in a more episodic, menu-driven way. So, what happened? And how did the Division 2 slowly evolve from an open-world looter shooter with RPG elements into something closer to an episode-based game? Let's talk about it. When the Division launched, the open world was the backbone of the experience. Missions weren't just icons that you clicked on, you actually had to run or fast travel across the map to reach them. The journey mattered. On the way, you'd run into enemy patrols, public executions, control points, lots of random activities that made the city feel alive. Even endgame activities followed this philosophy. Strongholds, invaded missions and bounties all existed within the same shared world. Everything felt connected. You weren't just selecting content, you were moving through a city under siege. As time went on, the game faced a big challenge. How do you keep adding new content without constantly rebuilding the open world? So, new missions were added, but this time they were different. You couldn't just run to them across the map and start the mission and run in. These new missions were not part of the open world, they were off-site missions. During the first year of the Division 2, 6 such missions were added, along with 2 raids. We had Manning National Zoo, Camp White Oak, Pentagon, DARPA Labs, Coney Island Ballpark, Coney Amusement Park, as well as the Dark Hours raids and the Iron Horse raid. Washington DC's map had its limits. Adding new activities, locations and storylines directly into it became increasingly difficult, both technically and narratively. So Massive started shifting direction. Instead of expanding outwards, the game began expanding off-map. Year 2 came, and this seen the arrival of a new map. The Warlords of New York expansion was launched, and we were back to that true open world exploration, back to running through the city, back to our roots. Everything felt good again. But then came the Summit, a new game mode, a new replayable experience, set in a skyscraper. But a skyscraper that you could run through the open world to get to it? No, it was another off-map activity. Then came radio silence for what felt like the longest time. Support for the game was to end after the TU12 update at the end of 2020. Players were gutted. Developers moved on to other projects. Was hope lost? As we now know, a small band of Division 2 developers from Massive banded together along with the support from Ubisoft Bucharest. They resurrected development on the Division 2. However, it took time, but the new structure continued. New seasonal storylines were added, making use of the old manhunt structure that we'd all come to know from Year 2, but the players needed something new, so it happened. New content. Not the open world kind, or the kind that would require a map expansion or redesign. No, the team was too small, too inexperienced to deliver such a massive task. Off-site was the only option. You select the mission, you load in, you complete it, and then you're pulled right back out. It's efficient, it's controlled, but it's also very different from how the game originally felt. The world is no longer the journey, it's the backdrop. Countdown, Descent and a new incursion were all added over the next few years. While these were great to play, something was missing. We lost something along the way. We lost that feeling of running through an open world. That sense of freedom was getting diminished by the day. We knew a new DLC was planned, a new world to explore, the Brooklyn DLC, that would give us our open world freedom back. But no, it didn't. The map was fantastic, but small. The environment was glorious, and the story was great. But where were the missions? Sure, you could run to the new replayable side missions, which were all contained in the open world, but the main missions? Where are they? Oh, they're all now off-site. The trend continues. One of the biggest casualties of this shift is immersion. Back at launch, walking through the city to reach a mission helped build tension and atmosphere. You felt like an agent surviving in a hostile territory. Now, new content often feels more like an episode of a show. You queue up, you play through that story beat, and you move on to the next one. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it does mean that the open world feels less central than it once did. To be fair, the change makes a lot of sense from a development standpoint. Episodic instance content is easier to balance, easier to replay, and easier to deliver. It also allows the developers to tell tighter, more focused stories without worrying about how they fit into an already crowded map. In many ways, the Division 2 didn't abandon its open world, it outgrew it. The Division 2 didn't change overnight. There was a gradual evolution, driven by years of updates, expansions, and live service demands. What started as a fully integrated open world looter shooter has slowly transformed into something closer to an episodic action RPG, where content is consumed in structured chunks rather than discovered organically. Whether this is a good thing or a bad thing depends on what you value more: immersion and exploration over convenience and replayability. But one thing's for sure, the Division 2 today is not the same game it was at launch, and honestly, that evolution tells us a lot more where live service games and maybe the Division 3 are headed next. As of today, we the players have something new to look forward to. A new time-limited realism mode coming during the 10th anniversary season, which will allow us to experience the New York map like never before, and the new Survivors game mode later in the year. Both of these promise that feeling of open world exploration, which is the core to the game. So, do you think the Division 2 is back? Or will we see more off-site, off-map missions and activities in the future? I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the evolution of the Division 2. I would like to think that the Division 3 doesn't follow the same path, but as the game grows, it's most likely inevitable. Thanks to everyone for watching this video. If you like this video, then give your boy a solid. Let me know in the comments what you all think. Do you miss the open world focus, or do you prefer the episodic approach? And that's it from me. Thanks for watching, and bye bye now.